Hello and thank you. We are live. And I am, yes, getting some feedback.
Okay.
That means Michael Komarov puts on the earplugs. He is from Brooklyn, New York. He is here on these Wednesday night beer examinations. I am Thomas Metal 75, and this is your Massachusetts beer review. And today we are looking at, as you can see with the dark shirt, Stouts and Porters, dark beer examination tonight. So, yes, any kind of a stout, any kind of a porter. I did not specify that it had to be, that it couldn't be an imperial stout. So if somebody brought an imperial stout, that would work just fine. What are you bringing for our discussion this evening, Michael?
I've discussed this type of beer before. This is out of one of the Kirkland 24 packs. This is their porter.
And the Kirkland is the Costco brand.
The Costco brand. How much? I think this one comes out of Stevens Point, Wisconsin. The ones on the West Coast come out of Washington. Issaquah, Washington, or some place in Washington.
How was that acquired? What kind of a packaging is that in?
It's a 24 pack with 4 different beers, a 6-pack of each, for $19.99.
Interesting.
So it has a India Pale Ale, an American Pale Ale, a porter, and then whatever they're pushing for that time period, like a seasonal beer. It could be almost anything. But it's funny. This came to me on my regular Thursday monthly session. Somebody brought a couple of these over.
Interesting. Very excellent. As if I'm a broken record here, I have a Trillium beer of all things once again. Yes, they do all the things than hoppy beers. This one is called a Pom Pom, as you can see from the hat there. It's a Pom Pom Milk Stout.
Trillium Pom Pom Milk Stout.
Milk Stout, 6.8% alcohol by volume. And this can, I believe, it either says the 11th or the 16th, but was canned in December of 2017, so not extremely old. That beer is utilizing, if I look on Beer Advocate, I'm not sure, they might have it available right now to buy at the website, but they say it's, they say that they are using English pale malt, C80, Caramunic, flaked barley, black malt, Carafa 3, pale chocolate, and lactose sugar. And here's one you never see from Trillium. What are they using for hops? Hop bittering extract. So this is a beer where they're not even trying to showcase hops. And our buddy Jeff Brister is not at home right now, but he is drinking Guinness. So yeah, go check out Jeff Brister on YouTube if you want. I'm gonna have it in a Guinness glass too. So there you go.
My Kirkland Porter is 5.4% alcohol, and the best date on the back, they don't have a packaging date, but it's good until 3/25/18. Usually these give about a 6-month shelf life. So I assume it was produced sometime in September or October. And if they're saying it's good until the end of November, usually these porters keep pretty well, but
sure,
it looks pretty good.
Yeah, so I have the Pom Pom Milk Stout poured out into this Guinness wine glass. We have Kent Beer Reviews from Praga, Portugal this evening. Hello, sir. Thank you for watching. I'm sure stouts and porters are right up in English fellows' alley for sure. And this one should be no exception. So yeah, if I look at the beer in some light, I have a lamp without the shade so I can get more light in the room. And there's definitely ruby red tinges all over the place. But just in the camera, you might be able to see a little bit of the ruby red there. But it's pretty pitch black. You can't see anything through the glassware. And the head is pretty, I guess I would call that a khaki/tan looking head. And it's definitely got some small bubbles, some big bubbles, and I guess one giant rocky piece in there to it. So it looks kind of the part of a good stout, I would say, for sure. No complaints from that. Smell-wise from this one, and then I'll let Michael Komarov talk about his Kirkland beer. The smell in this one, I did a review on my channel. I forget exactly what I rated it, so I'll give my new rating tonight. So this one, yeah, I almost snorted it. So this one has definitely got that lactic, sugary sweetness to it. It's not extremely sweet, but it's obviously a milk stout, so it's sweeter. I can definitely tell it's sweeter than Guinness. There are some darker roasted notes. There is definitely some roasty. It definitely is a roasty, milk, chocolatey sort of component to the aroma on there. There's some cocoa and some coffee and some chocolate, and I guess there is a little bit of a grainy component underneath everything, but it's pretty, and maybe some brown bread and maybe a light, maybe brown sugar to it, but definitely the roastiness is, and some of that lactic sugary sweetness are the two big notes so far that I get in the smell of the beer. So not too shabby for a milk stout so far. What do you get out of the Kirkland Porter?
I will do mine. Now, mine had a bigger head when I first poured it. I guess you can see from it now that the head kind of did a fast fade on me, and now it's got a very thin, just the head is just on the top. But it looks like the lacing is still there. You're still getting nice carbonation streams coming up, and mine is more dark brown than black, but you also really can't see through it well. I'm going to look through the light, and I guess kind of similar to yours, it does have some of those red tinges in it as well, so you can see through it on the edges. The color and the way it looks, I guess this looks like a pretty typical porter, and this is a 5.4% porter, so it pretty much follows the style. Let me give it the nose test.
Excellent.
You get like a very mild chocolate smell, and it's kind of like the baker's chocolate, not a sweet chocolate, kind of like baker's type chocolate. And you're also getting a little bit of coffee, but it's in the background. It's not a heavy lead taste. It's more chocolatey than it's coffee. And another strong thing you're getting kind of like a roasted malt kind of sense in this as well. But the flavors are light. It's not in your face kind of thing.
Cheers. Yeah, go right ahead and explain whatever it is that you're tasting.
Well, the taste follows the nose. You're getting a little bit of like an acidic bitterness, but the bitterness is not harsh. It's kind of like a mild bitterness.
Sure.
And it seems to, it's, again, like I'm saying, not really in your face. It's just a mild taste, but very pleasant. And you're getting the same chocolate notes that I smelled in the nose, you're getting also in the taste. Like I said, it's only 5.4, Eric. So there's really no alcohol in the taste. But I guess you really couldn't expect there to be heavy alcohol.
That percentage, sure.
It's basically session.
Yeah. So I never actually really noticed on the other beers. I'm sure it was there because this came in just a 4-pack of these tall cans. And it actually does say that it is brewed with lactose. So for me to get that lactic kind of a sugary sweetness in the, not that it's a huge sweetness, but for me to perceive that in the nose is obviously correct. And yes, cheers. And when I drink the beer, that is not Guinness. When I drink the beer, the taste in general is just the taste sort of outshines the nose. There's more going on in the taste than the nose. So initially it's saying, brewed with lactose. I'm definitely getting a milky, as one would expect, a milky sensation about it. Now, I said in the nose that it was more like a milk chocolate with the roasty notes to it. This is almost like a darker kind of a chocolate, and I'm definitely, again, getting that lactic sugary sweetness to it. It's got a lot of like chocolate and cacao nibs in it for flavor, at least. And definitely, like I said, a milky kind of a sweetness to it and a texture to it. I would say that the texture is definitely, while the head has died down, I would still say it has a light amount of a creamy sensation to it. I would call this a medium-bodied beer. It's not really clean. It is crisp, and I suppose one could call this pretty refreshing. Again, roasted notes, sort of after this milk chocolatey or this dark chocolatey milk lactic sensation to the beer is when I get that roastiness that's kind of reminding me of chocolate. There's a little bit of a grainy, earthy thing, if that makes sense in a beer like this. I don't think, even though all they're using is hop bittering extract, I still think that it is somewhat more bitter. The bitterness is still more appreciable than like, than like a left-hand milk stout or a Young's Double Chocolate Stout, which is probably, if not my favorite beer, one of my favorite beers of all time. So yeah, definitely in that order is big, dark chocolate, like almost like, now that I think about it, there's some darker like cherries or raisins in there somewhere. And then the roastiness of coffee comes in. There's definitely some kind of lactic sugar sweetness / maybe like a brown sugar or molasses. And there's definitely brown breadiness to it. There's definitely a good malt base to support the sweeter notes to the beer. It's distinctively a milk stout. It distinctively has that more of a sugary, sweet component to it. I think it probably, I suppose some people would consider this beer a little bit too sweet, but I think it's good, and I think it's right on for that style. I think it's just got a little bit more bitterness towards the end, and it has a little bit of that souring component when it finishes, like some stouts have. That could be the lactose that they use that's kind of giving it that milk soury kind of a note. Not like it's like a Belgian beer sour, but it just has that sourish twinge towards the end as it finishes. So yeah, definitely a wet finishing beer. But overall, I mean, if you want a milk stout, if it says milk stout on it, you kind of are looking for those flavors. It's definitely darker in its roast and its malt character than a left-hand milk stout or the Young's Double Chocolate Stout. But I think if you like those beers, you're going to find this one to be very pleasant. So far, I would say so good on that. In other words,
Eric, I didn't mention before, but my porter is 30 IBUs, which gives you an idea of the range. It's really, the bitterness is kind of mild, but there is some bitterness in it. It's not, you probably could have porters with less IBUs than that, but this one has a little mild bitterness. And it's also classified an English style porter. There probably are some American style porters, which might be a little different, but originally they are from England. That's where the first porters came from. So that's what this is being patterned over. And you know a little bit about the history. It was the porters who were there on the English shorefront who would drink this beer, and then it became more popular in pubs and in the general population later.
Yep.
I find it to be a very tasty beer, and as we've discussed, it definitely is a bargain beer because a whole case of it is only $19.99. The problem I have with this, I don't particularly like the IPA or the pale ale. So for me to buy a case of it means it's a waste of time. So
right.
You'd have to like at least two of the beers to make it worth your while. And the extra one, the fourth one this time, I don't think I liked, although maybe I would have given it a shot. But this, I found to be one of the better ones in the 4 different types, and it still is in my rating system in like the 7.25 range. I guess that's kind of like a C plus, maybe. If you're doing it in numbers, maybe that's an 80, maybe an 81. I don't know. It's not much higher than that. So your Trillium beer is obviously much higher.
I'm on Beer Advocate right now, and so far, out of 60 ratings, it gets a 4.13 out of 5, which is an exceptional rating for beers in general. Although I think sometimes Trillium beers just get the ratings that they get because it's Trillium and people are goo goo gaga over Trillium, which, I mean, I can't say that I'm not, but I like to be as fair and non-biased as much as possible so that I can judge a beer for what it is. And again, for me, I think that for some folks it could be a little bit too sweet for their liking, and I think some people wouldn't want their beer to be quite as darkly roasted in flavor, although I just don't think that it's that darkly roasted to deter anybody. But I just wanted to mention that in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to stouts and porters, because I know it can kind of be a little confusing, but in general, porters, there's an article on vinepair.com, and they talk about what the differences of porters and stouts actually really are. And they talk about that the only real main differences between porters and stouts are that they say that porters use malted barley, and stouts are primarily made from unmalted roasted barley, which is where the coffee flavor most people associate with stouts come from. Now, as you had mentioned, historically speaking, porters come before stouts. So stouts and porters are almost like cousins of each other, to be completely honest. They're in the same family of beer styles, really.
Did you notice that Lance DeLush has made an appearance?
Yeah, I made a rare midweek appearance tonight.
Yo, what's up, son? Let me guess. No stout, no porter. Is that right?
That is correct. It's I'm on vacation.
Lance is consistent, if nothing else.
Hey, this is one of those nights. I didn't leave the house all day long, so I'm stuck with what I got right now. But to answer your question, Eric, you are correct. Stouts and porters are direct cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, basically, are kissing cousins. If you're going to break it down to brass tacks, stouts is the more stronger of the two, because you're correct. They had more of that coffee taste. Right down to a porter's, it has a more robust taste. That makes any sense.
I usually think of when I think of stouts and porters, I usually think that stouts are going to be a heavier alcohol by volume percentage than a porter. Although, I mean, if this was the Guinness, that's not actually the case, because Guinness is only 2%, 3. So it's not necessarily the heaviest of alcohol range. Although one of the things that I wanted to mention is that it's you can say stout and then you can say porter, sure, which are all versions of ales due to their yeast strain that they use. Right. But there's not just one kind of a stout, as we all know. There's not just one kind of a porter, as we all know, because you can get imperial stouts. You can get a Russian imperial stout. You can get milk stouts. You can get Irish dry stouts. You can get plain old porters. You can get a Baltic porter, which is almost like an imperial version of a porter, which how that tastes different from an imperial stout. You got to A and B them to really figure that stuff out. There are European dark lagers. There are Doppelbocks, which are entirely a different kind of a darker beer, but I suppose because they use a lager yeast strain, that will be similar enough to the ales equivalent of stouts and porters. But, you know, just saying that, oh, and then there's oatmeal stouts, there's Russian imperial stouts, like I said. You know, the list can kind of go on, you know, Irish dry stouts, like I said. So, you know, basically, just to say I'm drinking a stout, you kind of have to ask that question and prod into it a little bit, because as I learned early on in my beer drinking experiences after I turned 21 and really getting into Guinness and then going to Bourbon County Stout by Goose Island, I learned that not all stouts and porters are created equal. That if you just go from a Guinness and then you try an imperial stout for the first time, it might sort of shock the senses a little bit. So I think that when it comes to the heavier, more alcoholic beers, it may take a little bit of time for folks to get into those kind of beers.
Now, I would inject with that. It's like, and Michael, you might agree with me with this. I'm a porter guy, so I can talk about porters a lot. Porters are a darker drink, as you all know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with stouts, they're historically heavier. Now, with the porters, you have that broad range, which are light porters. Like I'll use Michelob Amber Bock, for instance.
Yeah.
I mean, like, a lot of people don't consider that a porter, but it's a porter. All the way up to scale. And for life, I can't think of one right now, is an imperial porter.
That Polish porter that I did, Zwick, Z-Y-W-I-C.
Okay. The Polish one. That's really good. Yes.
Yeah,
9.5%. That's
one of the bigger ones. One of the bigger ones, at least in craft beer in my area, would be Baltic porters, which Beer Advocate says ranges from 7 to 10%. Is called the Framing Hammer, which is a beer done by Jack's Abbey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, like when you get to that high range of porters, then you have to switch into stouts. Now, Guinness is the old line. I mean, they're going to be a lower APV, but they're so heavy. I mean, it's set the gold standard for everybody else. So they have to be heavier into the Russian Imperials. Even though I can't do chocolate for the sake of this conversation, you start getting heavier and heavier and heavier. That's your stout. And maybe that's just me.
Yep. And then there's a whole nother, I even forgot about that. Then there's a whole nother stout range, if I can find it on Beer Advocate. It's called Export Stout, which were originally beers, I believe England, correct me if I'm wrong, that were literally just brewed for an export into other countries. Now, for some reason, yeah, here it is, foreign export stouts. They're calling that an English style of beer, which you
gotta be careful with that phrasing. Because with Beer Advocate, with the export stouts, I've had export stouts from a lot of countries, and they keep a local there, but they import them here. So you gotta be real careful with that.
Right. Well, in general, the concept had come from the English style of having their colonies around the world and then exporting from there. Because I know, for some odd reason, and maybe somebody in the comments or maybe somebody later on will comment on this video and explain it to me, but I'm a little curious as to why export stouts do so good in the Caribbean islands and in Africa. I could not, Africa, or I think it's in Jamaica. They have a brand called Dragon Stout, and it's 7.5%. I can't quite understand why in a hot tropical country like Jamaica, why a heavier alcohol by volume stout would do so well. But apparently it's for better tasting beers than Red Stripe. It seems to do really good in that country.
And Eric, you have the Lion Stout in Sri Lanka, which used to be Ceylon, which is 8.8%, and that's an export stout, and it's hot in Ceylon or Sri Lanka. So I mean, it's just a higher alcohol beer.
Hey, we got Rod J's Beer Ventures in the house.
Hey, Rod, how are you?
Hey, how you guys doing?
What's up?
Good. I wasn't going to jump in. I was uploading a video, and then I decided to jump in because you're talking about something close to my heart here. So,
Stouts and porters, man.
Yeah. So, stouts actually came from porters. Porters were first. Stouts grew out of them, mostly more around the time of World War I as well, for bigger drinks and stuff. But they also overseas, they had it in the style. every stout is actually a porter because it comes from that. So you guys are saying like cousins. I say they're more like brothers. They're like the big brother. But not every porter is a stout because of the different ranges you have on them as well. So when you talk about the stout and the porter, the differences, it gets into kind of the chocolate, the roastiness, and the coffeeness type thing. But they are essentially from the same thing as far as the stout out of it. It started to separate them. I don't know, whatever years ago it was, to what made it a stout versus a porter. And that's where you get into the difference in the taste. So the vine pear thing, I've seen that one before.
Yep.
And I kind of shortcuts it, but it's kind of like a basic thing that's not all the full 100% like true. It'd be kind of like a mixed thing if you put it on Snoops or whatever. So it's part of that's the taste, but it's also historically the stouts grew out of the porter.
Sure.
What I was going to say, guys, Lance and Rod had not been on. My porter came from this Kirkland 24 pack from Costco. And I was explaining to Eric that it's a reasonably priced beer because it's only $19.99, but I don't like the IPAs and the pale ales, so I'm not going to make the investment. A friend gave me a couple.
Oh, okay.
That's how I got it.
Goody.
These are brewed in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I think the ones on the West Coast are brewed in Washington State.
And to recap, mine is a Trillium Pom Milk Stout. 6.8%.
I've seen it here on the shelf. I haven't had it yet.
You've seen Trillium on the shelf in Ohio.
Now I've seen that one specifically on the shelf. I just haven't picked it up yet.
You've seen Trillium on the shelf.
That's from Trillium? I haven't seen any Trillium in Ohio, but
that would be.
This is a different part of the state. So
all right, that's crazy. That means that somebody that works at that store must have gone and picked up Trillium and put it on the shelf and went like, "Buy me, please."
Well, that's the one thing that the store down the street from my house. The beer buyer, he does very complicated trades to get stuff.
Well,
and you pay a premium for it.
And Rod, another aside, I was very impressed with the fact that you were reviewing other half beers, which are the ones that are right down the road from you.
And now we have Tyler live. Tyler Mansell. Hello, sir.
Hey, Tyler.
I'm very interested in the topic of Spruce Porter.
And now we have the beer whisperer,
Tom popped out of where? Out of nowhere.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hi, Tom.
Loud and clear.
weird.
So what are you drinking?
Eric, I'm usually working when you're doing these. I finally got a chance to pop on.
Excellent. Stouts and Porters is the name of the game today.
Well, I'm going to step up and go get one, and I'll be right back.
Excellent. Now, I know that Lance the Lush brought a stout or a porter, so explain what beer you have this evening.
Actually, no. Like, I said, like I haven't ventured out the house all day long. So I'm like working as best as I had since Saturday night. You know, I didn't want to go anywhere today.
So, Lance, what are you drinking?
A Labatt Ice.
Oh, from Europe.
No, from Canada, actually. Our francophone friend stepped up to the plate for this one, but it's no, it's like I said, I haven't been around. I haven't been out all day, so like I haven't gone and got anything. If otherwise, I would have.
Would you recommend that beer?
No.
No. And if Tyler were drinking a beer, which beer would he choose from his fridge at home?
Satin Solitude Imperial Stout by Central Waters.
Wow. Well, we're going to need a review on that at some point. Sounds good.
Yeah, I have a growler of it.
And how much does a growler of that typically run you?
That's about $8.50.
That's pretty good. Man.
Great deal.
And that's a 64-ounce growler.
Weird.
That is not bad at all. So, Lance would not recommend Labatt's products to any human being, apparently. All right. Yay. But
that was weird.
You got an internet issue on your side of the
something was happening, my mic was cutting off. It might have been because I was trying to edit a video and my audio might have been getting switched.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Potentially.
I was like, what happened? I'm like dying over here. So I missed all whatever you guys said there.
How is the how's this Kirkland beer treating you? Give me the update.
I'm getting down pretty low on it. I have a little bit left, a couple of sips in weeks.
Another one.
I guess the best way to describe all the Kirkland beers, they're very average, but if you're a novice beer drinker, it's a good assortment to get because you can try the different ones. And if you're into craft beers for a while, I think you become, to the point where you would say that it's average minus is how I rate that.
Okay, sure, that's legitimate. So you feel like you feel like I don't know, as a craft beer person, do you feel like like that's a good thing that Costco is kind of getting into the game of craft beer in quotation marks? Or
I think it is, but I think they realize that the average person who's buying the beer in Costco is not a craft beer person. So they're really appealing to the second level of people. And I'm deciding people out, which is kind of unfair. It may not be completely that way.
Now I have a question.
I went to our Costco here locally this weekend. They said they're cutting back on beer now.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, Michael, I have a question.
Sure.
Now with that Kirkland, now I haven't had it in a while. My question would be, is quite a bit of body to it, or is it a lot more watery?
Well, I would say this porter I'm drinking, if you're comparing body or watery, it would be more to the watery side, but it does have some body. It's not like it's completely watery. It's
okay.
It's light bodied, I guess, is to be
gotcha.
To be fair, I dislike the IPA and the APA, the American Pale Ale, because the taste is not good. In other words, it doesn't have a lot of the positive things that the other craft beers that we're generally reviewing have. So there's a difference. This porter is probably a little bit better than their average beer.
Okay.
Excellent. Good. All good stuff. I don't think I've been to Costco. We have a chain of stores called BJ's Wholesale Club, which is essentially the same thing. So I'd have to check that out sometime. And I got a review coming up at some point, maybe over the weekend. Our buddy John Walker, I don't think that he does beer reviews yet, but he's done a lot of the Louisiana Beer Reviews show. And he sent me a couple of bombers from Hardywood, which is located in, I believe it's in the Richmond, Virginia area. And he sent me two of their Imperial Stouts. One is Christmas Morning, and one is called Gingerbread Stout. And they both have, and they're both gingerbread styles of beer. So he told me to drink the Christmas Morning one first, which I might do this weekend. And then he said, wait for that gingerbread stout and age that for another year, and then maybe drink that next year or at Christmas time this year. So that might be interesting. I didn't really want to open a 9.2% alcohol by volume beer and drink it all by myself, even though I could just cap the thing. But it would still get flat afterward. But to go and to update you all on this Pom Pom Milk Stout, for those that were not here when I was opening the beer initially, it had a much richer and creamier tan-looking head, and it definitely, as the can says, it says brewed with lactose, and you can definitely get this lactic milk sugary sweetness. There is a bit of a milky, creamy consistency to it. It's definitely a darker roast still at this point. I'm definitely getting a darker roast note to it, and a dark chocolate kind of a note, almost like a cacao nib and a Baker's kind of a darker chocolate, maybe like a 60% cacao, maybe something like that.
Oh, okay.
And there's definitely coffee underneath that flavor. It's a big chocolate note. It's a little bit sticky. And then there's the coffee underneath it. I'm getting that lactic sugary note, maybe like a molasses or just the lactic sugar note, maybe some brown bread. And then as it finishes, I'd say it's a pretty wet finish, I would say. It's not like it's dry or anything like a Guinness, but I would say as it finishes, it kind of has that milk-like souring note, if that makes any sense to it.
So basically a commercial chocolate taste then.
Pretty much, but I think if you like, because it is a milk stout, so if you like things like Left Hand Milk Stout or Young's Double Chocolate Stout, or kind of beers like that, but you're looking to have more of a darker roasted note and not so much of just a straight up kind of a milk chocolate and coffee note, and you want slightly more body in the beer and richness to it, I would say that this, if you find it like somehow Lance does in Ohio, it would be a good one to try for sure.
Hey, I get what I get, you know.
You should go get it, is what I'm saying. You'd like this one.
Oh yeah. Now, Tom, you're over there on it far and all quiet. What are you drinking right now?
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, I am. Well, this is from Saddlebach. This is actually the brewery I work at. Saddlebach Brewery in Springdale, Arkansas. It's called their Winter Days. It's basically a 10% robust porter that's aged with Maker's Mark soaked oak, both white and red oak, and organic cocoa nibs.
Wow.
And
Sounds really
vanilla
good.
beans. So you got a lot going on with this one.
There's a lot of story with that beer, it sounds like.
Well, you know, I'll make a comment here. Eric had mentioned that he didn't want to pop a 9% or 10% beer all by himself. And I was like, oh, shoot, well, that's exactly what I just got to pop. Now I feel a little bad, man. Now I'm the lush of the group. Well, I figure, well, he's doing a stout and porter.
Why not?
I said 10. That's
I'll open the best one that I have.
Good.
The best beer I had on hand.
so 10 is where I usually start. Is that bad?
Yes, right.
I work my way down.
If I could give you just a couple quick notes, I don't want to take a lot of time, but I mean, again, you feel chocolate and vanilla on the nose. You get hints of toffee. You get some of those bourbon notes. It's not barrel aged; it's just aged with Maker's Mark soaked oak. But you do feel some of those oak notes, and because they use French oak, you get more vanilla as well. You get vanilla from the vanilla bean and vanilla from the French oak. Because French oak will give you more vanilla than American oak, while American oak will give you more spice notes.
How is Tom, is the alcohol well hidden, or you can taste it?
Oh, it's incredibly well hidden. I mean, yeah, you can. I mean, it's 10%. You can taste some, but it's not in an unpleasant way. If that makes sense to you,
I got
it's
you.
incredibly well. I mean, it's like drinking a 7% porter.
Okay.
It's just, and I think that's because you've got so many other things going on. You got bits of chocolate. You got a whole lot of vanilla. And then you've got kind of that oak that I think helps hide a lot of booziness.
Oh, so it's one of those brews where, like, if you're not paying attention, it's very dangerous. Then, basically, what you're saying.
Well, to be honest with you, I popped this 22-ounce bottle, and I'm going to drink it by myself.
Yeah,
but
but
it'll be over the course of about 3 hours, from about now 7 to 10. I mean, it's not when I drink very fast. And so this is actually a Saddlebach glass here, if you can see that. And it's basically an 8-ounce snifter. So I mean, I drink just a little bit at a time. And it's what I call a fireplace beer.
Mm-hmm.
not like the Labatt beer, correct there, Lance?
Correct. No. Tom's outclassed me every step of the way on this one.
Well, hey, man, I didn't mean to. I only popped this one because I've never been in one of Eric's chats before, and I just wanted to bring out the best beer I possibly had.
There you go.
Hey, I didn't leave the house today, so I have every excuse in the world.
Eric, I finished my porter.
Just got home from work just about 30 minutes ago. So
I finished my porter and I popped something else, which I think Eric can get this. I don't think anybody else can. This is from Smutty Nose. This is their pumpkin ale.
Still got a pumpkin ale rolling around. Uh-oh.
We get Smutty Nose here.
So you can get Smutty Nose. Okay.
Actually, I'll see Smutty
Tom,
Nose.
can you get Smutty Nose from New Hampshire?
Now, I can't speak for Ron. Like up here, I'm in the other part of the state as him. I can't get that here.
But you can get Trillium somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, go figure. We're the exact opposite of some stuff.
Get it every time you can.
Sometimes it's good, Rod, to be on the Kentucky side.
That's what we call the right side of the river.
All right. All right.
But yeah, Smutty Nose will be here in a few weeks at our beer festival too.
Excellent.
They make good beer though. It's a good company.
Oh, they make real good beer. I was actually talking.
Yeah, I don't get them here either.
They're kind of one of those weird distribution. They kind of have like different pockets they're in.
Well, they're big in New York, but again,
Yeah.
New England stuff we get most of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get Trillium or Treehouse though here. So the fact that Lance has seen some means he's got a good guy working for him.
Or you got a good guy working for you, Lance.
Well, the thing like Michael, you're in the city, so I would think it's like a lot easier to get, even if it'd be more expensive. That doesn't make no sense to me. You know?
Those beers, the only way you get them is you buy other half and you trade for them. Otherwise, you don't get them.
Oh, okay. You know, the city is so big, you still got to trade for stuff. Gotcha.
Trade. And I'm somebody who doesn't feel like waiting on these other half lines when it's 10 degrees. You got to wait on a line to get the beer.
I got you. You don't want to travel to Connecticut or someplace like that to get it. Gotcha.
The place is within a half a mile. It's just that I don't want to get on a line and wait there for 3 hours in the cold.
No, I don't blame you there. I really don't blame you.
The better half of a mile. All right, got it.
But Eric can buy the Trillium beer near his house, so he's in good
near my house, boy. I still got to spend that $50 gift card I got for Christmas. Okay. Well, that's like one time there at that Trillium. That's it.
It's a quick trip in Trillium.
Yeah. It's a quick trip down the stairs after you drink their beer.
So you went to
like,
other half, Michael.
And put an extra $10 against it, you'll be fine. You know.
Yeah, like a normal 4-pack of this stuff is some kind of like $20, which is kind of a ripoff. It's sort of a ripoff, but stuff is still good, so it's all in perspective. It's not like stuff. I mean, I really like that stuff, and those kind of beers are up my alley. But it's not beers that you just go to their brewery every week and buy their beer every week. You could not supplement that on normal wages. You just couldn't do that. That $20 a 4-pack beer, you could not do that every week.
You could not.
You could do Labatt every week, but that's if you wanted to, right?
What, $3.99 a 6-pack? You can do that, you know. On Fridays when I splurge, when I start doing reviews, I will spend the money. Trust me.
Well, if you're gonna spend the money on good beer, and you're not we're talking about one of your home brews, what kind of stuff would you normally gravitate towards?
I've talked about the subs before, and I'll talk about it again. If I'm doing a review. Even though my season don't start till March again, but it's if I'm talking about doing beer for review, I have some requirements. Yeah. Number one, I've never seen before, which is simple. Number two, has anybody done a review on it before? And number three, if said review was done, how long ago was it done? Because it was 6 months ago or older, I'll do a review. Otherwise, I don't do it.
Yeah. All right.
Even though I passed on a lot of beers I should have done. But there's some beers that I should have done, like that eggnog beer I did last week.
Oh.
Yeah, that one was rough. And I fought myself from doing that one.
Eggnog IPA. I heard a lot of mixed reviews on Beer Advocate and Untapped about that beer. And by mixed reviews, I literally mean some people really loved it, and there were people that really absolutely hated it.
That was my first drain pour since March.
Wow.
I saw somebody else who drained poured a review as well, so it's
really
only one.
Now,
I mean, that one started to make me sick.
Now, does that actually have any kind of added flavors that make it taste like an eggnog?
Okay, no, that had the eggnog hints, like nutmeg and things like that. Mm-hmm. There was so much egg white involved.
Oh,
it didn't curdle, but it got to a point where I got about the third way the second can, personal consumption. It started to make me sick. That's after I ate.
Was it like too sweet or something?
No. It was the egg content.
Ugh. So they actually use eggs in the beer?
Yeah, egg white. Yeah, they won't admit that because I asked about that. They sidestepped the question, but I know that's what they did.
Oh wow. Okay, it's kind of weird. Eggs and beer. It sounds like a breakfast.
No, it was Guinness and like hard-boiled eggs. That's one thing. But it's like when they were setting it up, that did not happen. That wasn't happening.
Guinness and hard-boiled eggs, the breakfast of Irish champions.
I know a lot of my Irish friends, they still eat that once or twice a year. So, you know.
Yeah, sounds like a disaster, Lance. Yeah.
No, it's I've had my. I will say this. We'll get off the subject. I mean, season 4 is over. I had fun. It was a long season. It lasted basically 10 months.
Yep.
But it's I'm taking a winter off, and we'll be back at it in March at Rubber City Beer Fest. Hopefully, that's my plan.
Well,
I'm planning on broadcasting live.
Well, your beer reminds me that next week we're going to do flavored beers. And by flavored beers, I'm specifying a flavored beer as having any other extra ingredient in the beer other than water, hops, yeast, malt, and or rice and corn. So if the beer has been brewed with something additional, that's a flavored beer. Now
I have a question. Let's say I'll use Blue Moon as my example.
Sure.
They use orange one of the beers, right? Does that count?
Yeah. I would, in my definition, it would count because they do brew that beer with Valencia oranges.
Okay.
That would work. If you want to bring your Coors Labatt beer.
I want that question clarified before we get started the conversation.
So squeeze a lemon in it. Just squeeze a lemon in your Labatt. You got a flavor.
Oh, Tom, thanks a lot, you know. Make me more sick than what I am now.
You can't make that beer any worse, man.
Actually, you know what? Putting orange or lemon in it might be an upgrade now you think about it. Right.
Tyler, ask that question again. I didn't hear you.
Oh, we're going to examine Labatt Blue on my channel on Saturday.
I wonder if I can get a 40 ounce and just do the deed.
There you go.
We get a 40? Wow.
A 40. I don't know if they make 40s of that. They might make a 20.
Actually, they do. I've seen them. You don't see them very often. They do make them. I have seen them.
I haven't seen a 40 in my neck of the woods.
Well, I'm out of delicious liquid, so you all better chat because I'm going to be back in 5 seconds.
All righty.
Find something interesting to talk about. Oh, let me ask a question, and then I'll come back and answer that question. Let's see. Let me ask a question. Question. Okay, question. If you all can remember, since we're on the topic of stouts and porters, if you can think of breweries in which you've had their beers, I guess Guinness included, sure, that make a year-round stout and a porter that you can really think of and remember, what would a really good stout and porter year-round be to you?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. As far as a year-round, I can't think of one. I can't speak for the panel here, but I can't think of one.
Ozark's Beer Co. in Rogers, Arkansas does a cream stout year-round. It's very nice. And we're talking about styles that I think can be drank here. I could drink a dry stout year-round. It's not a lot of ABV. They're typically not heavy. I could do an Irish or a dry stout all year round. But that one from Ozark's Beer Co. It's just a beautiful cream stout.
Now you said it was a cream stout, right, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in Rogers, Arkansas.
You have all your typical national ones that are Lagunitas Imperial Stout is year-round. Founders, I think, is year-round as well.
Founders Porter's year-round, yeah.
I think he's asking more like a daily, though. A daily driver. I think that's more of the question. And I can't think of one. Be it a daily. Was that Tyler?
Regular Guinness.
Guinness is just way too rough.
Guinness Draft especially. Guinness Draft is very creamy, very easy to drink. A lot of it for me is weather. I mean, if it's 100 degrees, I don't want a big, heavy porter. But I think you could drink an Irish stout because they're typically between 4.5% and 5%. So I think an Irish stout, you can drink year round.
I don't
know if I'd want something as heavy, for me anyway, as say Founders Porter. I mean, that's a little bigger, a little more viscous. For me, if it's 100 degrees, a beer like that just doesn't taste good.
I'm with you, Tom.
I could drink Guinness for an extra stout year round, but that's the only Guinness I would do.
Yeah, I agree with RJ. Yeah.
Actually, outside of drinking Guinness for an extra stout, I've kind of been turned off to Guinness lately.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're good.
I just connected to Wi-Fi, so I was using my 4G before, so now I should have better service and connection.
Excellent. What's a good year-round stout or porter that you've had?
We say Guinness drought. Regular Guinness.
Not for me. Maybe Guinness for an extra, not regular Guinness.
So for me,
Get a lot, but I think it's something you could drink year round.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Maybe I'm a little bit different because like it's the winter time. I always go back to the porters when it's the winter time.
Yep.
And I start straight away with like March, April, May. Maybe it's just me. But like that's something to where I want to drink this time of year. But like year round, I can't think of anything.
Trying to remember, there's a beer that you can get year round, and I found it. It's called the Out of Bounds Stout from Avery Brewing Company. That's only
I get that one.
That's a good one. It's only 6.3%. Now, the problem, I believe I rated. I don't remember what I rated that in Beer Kit, but it was one of the higher rated beers as far as I remember, and it's an American stout. The problem for me, and I've encountered this a few times going into beer stores, is sometimes I don't always want an imperial stout or something with a lot of ABV to it. So I might go into a beer store or into a liquor store looking for a lower ABV stout, and sometimes I find that to be difficult to try to find lower ABV stouts when everything is primarily imperial stouts.
Well, typically a dry stout or an Irish stout typically hover between 4.5%. But when you were off camera, I mentioned one from Rogers, Arkansas, Ozarks Beer Co. There's a cream stout year round. That's about 5%. I think something like that. But I do agree that the high ABV stuff, the imperial stouts, if anything over 8% is going to be tough to drink in 100-degree weather.
Absolutely. But the next
stout wise, not necessarily Imperial IPA. I chug them suckers down any time of year.
Let me ask the group: do you guys have easy access to stuff from Bell's out of Comstock?
I see a lot of Bell's.
Yes. I have easy access here. Yes.
0.0% chance I can get a Bell's beer at my beer store
because they have a pretty full line of stouts and porters.
Yeah.
I was looking at that Saturday.
The one with Bell's, like here, like Northeast Ohio, we get them consistently, but it's like we get like the older stuff, which makes no sense. But I've never understood that.
Is it
here
like
in Kalamazoo? But it's like, why we get this older stuff?
By older, you mean it's an older date on it? It's an older dated beer. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, correct.
They're just old beers in general.
No, older beers.
Huh. I feel like we just said that.
Yeah, so there's a replay going or something.
There you go. Well, the next beer that I went and opened is, not Trillium, but this one is from Aeronaut Brewing Company. It's called Hop It Away.
Well, that doesn't look like a stout or a porter.
And no.
It's from Aeronaut Brewing.
There we go. All right. Yeah. This is from Somerville, Massachusetts, which is outside of Boston. It is a 4.6% India. They call it an India Session Ale.
India Session? What the hell is that?
It's basically one of those sessionable IPA. If you if you like that whole style thing. I mean, I think the style can be good. I think a lot of companies sort of make a watery version of their normal India pale ales. I mean, this might have been like a $14 4-pack, and this was canned on the 21st of December. So, I mean,
it's fresh. Okay.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, what you're getting Now, I just had a milk stout, so maybe my senses are a little off at this point, but it definitely has. It's definitely not like. I mean, it does. It does have a really good tropical kind of a note to it, and there definitely is a lot of the spicier hops in there. There is some of that hop oiliness. There's a lot of pineapple and a lot of lemony notes to it, and somewhere in the background, it's almost like a pill. I don't know if they're using a Pilsner malt, but there's almost like that Pilsner white bready kind of a malt, almost like a crackery kind of a biscuity kind of a sensation about the flavor or the scent on that.
Oh, okay.
And when you drink it, you're definitely getting that combination of pineapples and lemony, sweet, bready, white bready notes. Definitely some oils. It has, I would say, a light side of medium mouthfeel to it. It's totally crisp. Yeah. It's got a very fast finish. It's pretty clean. And yeah, at 4.6%, you can just like down the crap out of this. So I think, you know, to be completely honest, I mean, I like this beer and I think it's pretty good. I actually, to be completely honest, I actually think they're calling this not an IPA, but just a pale ale. So just a lower ABV at 4.6 than.
So it's a borderline IPA then, basically. Yeah,
pretty much. I'm just not finding that it's, even though it's pretty fresh, I'm just not finding for, I think, what they're doing, I think it does work as classifying it more as a pale ale because it's not quite as abrasive or in your face with the amount of hopping that they're putting into it. Although it's not really, I don't really think that the more of that New Englandy kind of a style is really supposed to be super in your face bitter, but some of them can lean in that direction. This one's not a palate record. This one, I think, is totally about having those really good base flavors that you want out of that New England style, but still keeping it light and refreshing enough that it's, you know, still an easy drinker. So in that regard, a lighter mouthfeel, but it keeps the drinkability. And like I said, it's got everything that you kind of like in that style of IPAs from the East in New England, but just in a lighter body and package. But overall, pretty good. Yeah. Kind of that hippie, hipster kind of look. And
Roger or William, do you want to describe your porter or stout?
I've got a Guinness Draft Stout, the flagship, the 4.2% ABV. Is a legend, a classic, I guess, in most beer circles. And
how is it?
I drank that last Saturday night on a hangout. I drank a Bourbon County Stout.
Ooh.
So after drinking that and drinking this, it's like the yin and the yang.
Sure.
Such a wide spectrum of contrast between the two. This beer is rather watery, light in flavor. The sweetness is very delicate. It does have the roastness, which you get from a stout, but it's a startling difference. But and for this, you know, I think it's okay. To me, it's rather pedestrian. I think, you know, the more different type of stout that you drink, when you start to reference it against this, but I mean, it's enjoyable, but wouldn't be my favorite style.
Okay.
What's in the glass over there in the Rod J headquarters?
I just went downstairs, guys, and I actually forgot I had these in the fridge. I'm thinking most of the beers I got are 1 ounce. I said, wait, I got a few of these. So one of the few Lining Kugels I actually drink, the Snowdrift Vanilla Porter. So I don't drink a lot of Lining Kugel because, as you know, I'm not a Shandy fan. So occasionally during the course of the year, it come out with stuff that I'll actually give it a try. But it's a traditional, basic. I mean, it's a sweeter porter. It's got the vanilla in there. It's got the sweeter flavoring. It's got a nice little roastiness to it as well. You get some of the stuff coming through, but it's a decent porter for what they offer compared to out there. It's not one that you would hunt down, but if it's out there, you get a good deal. You get a six-pack like $7.99 or something.
Rod, is that session? Is that session alcohol? Is the alcohol session? Is it like 5% or more?
This one is 6%.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
That's big for a liney beer.
Yeah, right. You go to Big Eddie after that. So
Yeah.
Hey guys, let me jump on here real quick. I got to get off. I just want to say thanks for inviting me in. And
No problem.
I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks for
You
coming
too,
on,
man.
Tom.
Dude.
but it's
My
definitely
wife made me a pumpkin pie, so I got to go grab me a piece to have with some of this beer.
Enjoy.
Oh, that sounds good.
Take it easy,
Cheers.
guys.
Yeah.
I gotta ask what Lance's thoughts and opinions are of Leinenkugel Shandy beer. What's your thoughts, guys at
Okay,
home?
my one thing with now I have a big issue with shandies in general. However, excuse me, what Rod is having, I've had before this in the past, is actually not that bad.
But Shandy's no thank you, huh?
Well, okay, I take the simplistic look at shandies. Like, oh, you got a beer, add Sprite, and there's a shandy. I hate to say that, but like a lot of people like myself look at it that way. But as a reviewer, I know it's more complicated than that. So it's
Sure.
but it's one of those ones where shandies is just not my gig. It really never have been. That's the quote unquote girly drink. You know?
Yeah, it makes you feel sick.
And I hate to say that,
Safe, yeah.
but it is.
Lance is
yeah,
like by a woman now.
I mean, like Tyler said, it's sort of it's a safe choice if you wanna play it safe, right?
I have a question for Tyler. Tyler, Central Waters seems to brew a very good group of beers. Which is your favorite?
Ooh.
I was going to
My
ask that
favorite
question in another chat, but since Micah brought it up, let's ask the question now.
go.
What's your favorite brew so far?
Whoa.
You're asking me what my favorite brew is so far?
That you
Yeah.
tasted from Central Waters.
Well, they have a very diverse portfolio. So when it comes to the IPA, the Rift IPA, because I just love hops, but their Satin, Solitude Imperial Stout, just the way that they touch it with the chocolate is just unbelievable.
Nice.
It is so good. I wish.
I wish I could get it and try it because we don't get any Central Water stuff here.
That's got to just be local distribution to the brewery.
And now it's like a port that you could drink year round. They make a porter called Muddy Puppy, or Mud Puppy porter. It was just too light because it was like negative 20 degrees outside. But that's something I could probably drink in the summer.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Really? Now, I have a question, Tyler. Like, with Central Waters, now I understand. Now, they might have growlers, of course, but do they have like regional distribution? At least down the greater, at least down in Minneapolis.
Yeah, with distribution, it's pretty much Wisconsin. And yeah, I can just go down to the gas station down the road and when it comes to other states, I know they're open to selling it. They don't have the connections yet.
Oh, no, they more newer then, I'm assuming.
What's that?
Are they more of a newer brewery than I'm assuming?
They're more on the new end, and their location is pretty new. They're in Junction City, Wisconsin, which is close, but now they're in Amherst. So I would say it's definitely on the newer side, yeah.
Oh, okay. So like somebody like here in like the older Midwest, it might be a while unless we go travel or trade for it. It might be a while before we see it then. Okay, got you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Interesting. I saw this. I know this could relate to stouts and porters, maybe not. But I was on Beervik and saw a very interesting beer forum question, and I wanted to see if anybody can remember any of their four beers in the list for this question. The question was posed as a Mount Rushmore of worst beers. Now, can you remember the 4 worst beers you've ever had? The top 4 worst beers you've ever had.
Oh, snap.
What can you say, Lance, for the worst beers you've ever had? And now, I mean, obviously ones that you can buy and purchase at a store or a brewery. I'm sure you've had enough home brews that didn't turn out the way that you thought.
Do we really go down that road?
Yeah, we
really want to.
Yeah,
I'm ready to hit you hard. I have 2 fast.
Oh,
I'll let Michael have the floor and let him go first.
All right, Mike.
I've mentioned this before, that Guinness IPA, which came out last year, it was awful, and it was bad. And Guinness should just stay away from it. It's bad and bad and bad, and it was a drain pour, and it was bad. Another one that comes quickly to mind is an expensive beer that came in a bomber. I didn't buy it. My friend did. It was called Founder's Mango Fantastic, something like that. It was a mango beer.
That. Oh,
and
God, I know what you're talking about. I had that.
Uh-oh.
It was bad. And it was another drain pour. We gave it a chance. We smelled it, and we said, hey, this is awful. We said, we have to at least taste it. And we tasted it, and it couldn't have hit the drain faster. I mean, and I think he paid like $18 for it also, so he was very upset. Founders makes a lot of good beers, but it shows you maybe mango and beer don't go together.
Yeah, maybe.
Those are 2 on my list. I'm going to keep thinking.
Got any experience with bad beers there, Tyler? And if so, which ones? We can now not hear you anymore. Uh-oh.
Who did we lose? We lost Tyler?
We lost his voice. Try again, Tyler. No. All right, we'll come back to Tyler. William, remember any bad beers you've had, and if so, which ones?
Fortunately, the bad beers I've had are such that you could drop a shot of whiskey in them and probably drink it, and it would
You're like me,
okay. One I had was
make a little Boilermaker, and that cures
that's
all.
Right. That's the way to salvage a terrible beer is to drop a shot of whiskey in it. But 2 I had. One was the Milwaukee Special Reserve Ice.
Woof.
It had a very distinct grape flavor.
Grape.
And it had a quickly disappearing head, almost like a Clamato. It would disappear quicker than Jimmy Hoffa. I mean, it was there and it was gone.
Wow. All right.
Very extremely fizzy, like a flavored malt beverage, like a Four Loko, something of that ilk. Another one recently I just got, which is pretty bad, is the Sprint Lager from the Lidl supermarket chain, German supermarket chain, which invaded America very aggressively. They want a piece of this United States grocery market. It's a 4.2% ABV. Basically, it's a natty light knockoff.
Wow.
And it mimics the same colors. And it has a couple of flavors I really can't describe.
That bad.
Unlike many light beers that don't have any flavor at all, which are just like carbonated water with some alcohol, this has some flavor to it, but it's just very funky. It's hard to describe.
Interesting.
But I got a 6-pack of Tall Boys for $3, so that's 50 cents a can. That's 3 cents an ounce. So I was willing to take the chance on it. And like I said, I can drop a shot of Old Crow whiskey or something in it. And it's party time. So
isn't that right, Lance?
But fortunately, I'm thankful that I think because the stiff competition now between the breweries, most of the beers I say are respectable at the very worst. Yeah. Maybe not many are exceptional, but by definition, most things aren't exceptional. If Tom Brady was an average, if everybody was as good as Tom Brady, there wouldn't be any big deal about it.
Yeah,
exceptional, the greats there aren't but a few of those. But generally speaking, I've been well pleased with most of the beers that I have drank.
Tyler, I could hear you now, but Lance was having some bad memories there. What you got, Tyler?
Stroh's. I did not enjoy Stroh's.
Really?
Yeah. Very memorable. I'll remember it. Yeah, I bought my first car, had Stroh's, my father, but I couldn't even finish. He got it real cheap, and I said, "Dad, just drink."
Huh. All right.
If I'm not mistaken,
You guys like Stroh's?
if I'm not mistaken, Stroh's is originally from Detroit, Michigan. If I'm not mistaken,
That's true. Fire brewed Stroh's.
fire brewed.
Fire brewed. Does that make it taste better? Who knows?
It's like Eric the Beechwood hops in Budweiser. The same
Beechwood
kind of
aging
deal.
chip.
Same thing.
A marketing gimmick, basically.
Yeah, but I gotta know what as Rajay's tried and drank almost everything under the sun. You gotta remember some of the bad ones. Which are the bad ones you remember?
We're talking outside of Bud Miller and.
Sure. I mean, what else would stick out to you?
Rod, you're one of my heroes because you're not a macro fanatic like some of these other people.
Oh, I'm not an adjunct lager kind of guy for the most part, but the worst beers.
Your Mount Rushmore of 4, if you can even come up with 4.
God, there's beers that you drink sometimes, like you got to define between beer. You talking about beer and count malt liquor in there?
Sure, why not? Malt liquor. Let's name me a bad beer type beverage. I'm sure the world's dying to know.
Man, but it's almost like you do a malt liquor. You expect it to be bad because it's a malt liquor.
Uh-oh.
The bar is set pretty low as you go in.
It's the standard of the style.
Sure. Right.
I know one of them is Minhouse. They're terrible in their beers.
Just every beer they make?
Just every beer they pretty much touch is pretty bad, I've had.
Minhouse makes that Sprint lager I mentioned.
Yeah.
Monroe, Wisconsin.
They make stuff for Trader Joe's, too.
Right,
yeah.
they make a whole bunch of Trader Joe's beers. I mean,
yeah.
It's like 4 or 5.
Wow.
If you pick it up, you see Minhouse, you're like, no, put it down.
Run away. Run away.
So I had one of theirs, like it was like the simple lager or something. They did
Simpler times or whatever.
Yeah, it was like it was terrible.
They got simple times in like name tag lager.
Some of the Ice House, it's not really terrible. You kind of expect it though. It's kind of expected to not be great.
Oh, Ice House is awful. All right, I had a couple of those a day. 99 cents. What do you expect?
Yeah, you expect it to be awful. So it's kind of like
quality.
To call it awful, you're like, what did you think was going to happen when you got it?
Yeah.
Well, what it comes down to is you have price points.
Milwaukee's Best. That was one. That was terrible.
Milwaukee's Worst.
Yeah.
Jesus, people, come on.
We used to call it the Beast.
It's so called the Beast.
People still call it that.
Yeah.
You're drinking the northern version of the Beast right now, there, Lance. But yeah, I can really. I had to go to Beer Advocate just to get a couple of names here. But if you call it a beer, I don't really know. They seem to call it a beer. The worst rated beer is probably, I don't know if it's the worst beer because I'm not even sure if you would call it a beer. But the worst rated thing I have on Beer Advocate is Not Your Father's Ginger Ale. And that was literally like dumping, rock candy in a glass, melting it down, and then adding sugar and ginger to it. It was that sweet and gingery and just gross. So if that's a beer, that's probably one of the worst ones. Miller 64 was pretty bad, and I think Miller 64 was probably pretty bad because the bottle that I got at some restaurant that I was at was extremely skunky, so that might, be tainting my judgment on what I really thought of that beer. But I gave it a 1.43 out of 5, so it couldn't have been that great.
Not Your Father's products are considered in the industry as FMBs, flavored malt beverages.
Right.
All over the world and such. And Anheuser-Busch has got a brand new one called Natty Rush. They have 8% versions of those in 3 flavors. They're trying to tap into that local market. But trying to give it the legitimacy of the Natty name for whatever that's worth.
I was not.
Not much. Not much.
I have to ask the group a question. Why do they do this stuff? It's crazed.
Because people drink it and buy it, and it's cheap.
It's market. That's all it is. That's all it is, Michael. It's all about market. What
is it? Is it teenagers who have somebody buy the beer for them or whatever, and they?
It's social economic stakes.
When I was a teenager, that's how we did it.
there's a large group, there's a large community of people that do what we do, that just devote their time to. Now, just to preface this, I'm not gonna say no to a malt liquor, so I can't just say that all of them are gross. But the one that I was gonna mention was Steel Reserve 211, 8.1%. It's one of the worst beers I've ever had in the planet. But there's a large group that do the beer reviewing and do the online beer community that just devote themselves as a 40-ounce brew crew guy, and by that I mean they
Steel Reserve.
Yeah,
I would say this. There's a very large contingent in Pittsburgh that will drink that just because it's local, and that's the philosophy of you take care of the people, take care of you.
Yeah,
and I hate to say that, but that's what it is. Like us, like me, like farther east, or like RJ or Michael down in Florida, or something like that. It's like one of those ones where. Like, what the smeg was this, you know? That's the best, and that's the PG version, you know?
Eric, now that Lance brought up Pittsburgh, Iron City is on my all-time list of bad beers.
Oh, Iron City.
Had that or not?
I don't know that I've had a beer from Iron City. I can't really think.
I've had the lager.
No, Iron City. If you actually like, I haven't been asked yet, but it's like Iron City's like mid-range. They're above what I would rank a bad beer, you know?
Okay, so it's average, it's below average, but it's plus. Where would you put it?
I would put it below average.
Okay. Really? Well, that's not.
Michael, if you rip Iron City, Jack Lambert's going to come and body slam you.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I better watch out.
No, he's from the next county over.
Main
like,
Green.
He's the next zip code over. I don't want him kicking my ass, all right?
They're going to dump you like Turkey Jones did Terry Bradshaw that time.
I don't want that, because they put me on the asphalt. I'll be seriously hurt, you know?
I can certainly say that one of the worst craft type beers that I've ever had, and I'm trying to look for this review that I did on Beer Advocate a number of years ago. And for some reason, here it is. It was the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Stout from the Alltech Brewing Company, which make the Kentucky Barrel.
That's from near you. That's from your area.
Yeah, I got one in the fridge downstairs.
I wasn't very fond of it, and I've had it twice. I've had it. I reviewed it. The first time I had it was November 2nd, 2013. And it's not just my taste buds from 2013. I had it maybe 2 years ago for the second time at a local restaurant that has a pretty good beer selection, and I got it out of a bottle. And I had the same experience to it. And part of my review, and I gave it a 2.4 out of 5. Part of my review is that I watched this head fizz away to cola. It didn't even look like a beer. It looked like Coca-Cola. And it smelled like cola mixed with coffee and raisiny dark fruits. And that's 100% of what it tasted like. It had the fizziness of a Coke, and it tasted like Coke mixed with cold coffee.
So make the RC Cola then, basically.
Yeah, with coffee inside of it. Now, I'm expecting to get a barrel-aged 8% stout, and I'm tasting coffee mixed with Coca-Cola. Yeah, that was one of the first beers I ever immediately drain poured. It was that bad. And I thought I had tasted, as I noted here, very bitter and boozy. So all those things combined just didn't make sense. And for a Imperial Stout to look and sound like a Coca-Cola when you put it to your eardrum, and to drink it and the Imperial Stout tasted like Coca-Cola, it just was a really odd drinking experience. And I had that same experience the second time I drank it 2 years ago. So not worth, it was sub $10. I think it's sub $10 for a 4-pack. I just bought one in a mix of 6, but I think it's a sub $10 for a 4-pack. But the Kentucky ale that they make is by far a much better product.
See, I don't like the Kentucky ale, but I haven't had the bourbon stout yet. But the bourbon stout is usually 12 or 13 a 4-pack here.
Yeah, that one, yeah, it's not. Again, it's not really for what it is. It's just not a hugely. It's not it's pretty cost effective for it being more of an imperial stout. But so we got Miller 64. I named Miller 64. If you call the ginger ale a beer, Steel Reserve, bourbon barrel stout from Alltech, I guess. But if I don't consider Not Your Father's ginger ale, I guess I guess Natty Daddy would be tied with Steel Reserve.
That's not 4.
Kentucky was the bourbon barrel stout.
It was just called Kentucky Bourbon. Yeah, Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Stout.
That's the top 4.
I was gonna say on Untapped, it's like a 3.74 average. I was curious.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I guess it's not so bad of a rating, but
I don't know. I haven't had it yet. I gotta still review it. It's in my fridge.
One really major company's beer, and then I'll kind of shut up for now about that, is that I did this Shock Top sometimes has a variety pack, and I decided a couple of years ago in 2015 to say, screw it, I'll get a variety pack. And I heard a lot of people say it when it came out. One of the worst beers I've ever had, maybe it's in the top 5 here, is Shock Top Honey Bourbon Cask Wheat Ale.
I've not had that one yet.
That was pretty. Pretty
hard.
Yeah, it was. As I call it, it had. They use lime peel. If you go on the tappedinyourbeer.com, they list all the ingredients for Anheuser-Busch and InBev beers that we get in the United States. So they list that they use orange peel or lime peel, which is kind of weird. But I noted that you can get the lime peel in it. There's honey. They use bourbon staves in the beer, and you can taste it. But it has the sweetness, and the sweetness in it and the citrus don't work. I write that there's too many citrusy notes, and it all just clashes with the honey taste. And the limey taste sort of just throws it off. So in other words, it's just kind of thin, fizzy soda water, and the flavors just don't work together, and it's gross.
I guess I'm never going to get to try it because I don't buy anything that InBev is involved with.
The strange one that they made that's actually really good. The strange one they make that's actually really good is their it's a twisted pretzel wheat beer, which actually tastes like a salted pretzel beer. It's strange.
If I see that, I'll pick it up.
Yeah, if you find a single of a pretzel wheat beer, you actually might like it.
I've seen that one out there. Yeah.
Flavored beer.
Anyway,
I went to my Untapped to see what were the lowest beers I ever rated, because I figured that'd be an easy way to see which ones are the worst ones I've had. So only one beer I've ever rated a 1 out of 5, and that was from a local brewery here. Rivertown Brewery, their Soulless Scarlet Sour Ale, which was not good.
They usually do pretty good on the sour beers.
Yeah, the second is Bud Light.
Oh.
Third is Trader Joe's Name Tag Classic Beer Lager.
Trader Joe's.
And then in fourth, it's kind of a tie in there because I got Hootie Delight, I got Bud Ice, I got Keystone Light, I got Jolly Traveler Winter Shandy, and then Asahi Super Dry.
Ooh.
And then I had the Gray Lady, which was from a company called Cisco Brewers.
Yep, that's
that Dos Equis Special.
That's out of Massachusetts, Eric.
Yeah, that's in I think it's Nantucket.
Yep. And then I have Dos Equis Special Lager, Coors Light Summer Brew, Interland Luna Coffee Stout, and another one from the local called Divergent, and a Harvest Patch Shandy from Lonnie Kugel. All of those are at 1.5.
Lance likes that Harvest Patch Shandy, right?
I do not.
And it lets you know how bad it was. Natty Daddy was only 1.75, so it was actually the next step up.
Wow. Yeah, Natty
Daddy. In defense, I'm last in the line for this question.
Go ahead. You had to think about this. Now you know, don't you?
Okay. You want a top 4? Here we go.
Wow.
Number 4 is PBR.
Oh, no.
PBR. Oh, the hipsters are going to come for you.
Ooh, this is
here's the deal with PBR. I understand where PBR in the food chain, but I've always used PBR for cooking purposes.
Cooking?
Because, yes, PBR far as cooking is really good. You have the sweet taste on the back end.
I use
only cooks understand that.
Use that to feed the homeless, all right?
No. PBR has a brown sugar taste in cooking. It always has.
You got to revisit that one, Lance.
Brown sugar. That's a beer by Lagunitas.
Yes.
You ever cook with Labatt's? That's what I use, like in chili and stuff.
No. No. Chili is a whole different ball game. That's a different story for a different.
No.
So you want to use your PBR in chili?
No. That's a whole different ball game. No. Okay, number 3. I gotta put my last review in that slot, and that's Evil Twins Eggnog IPA.
Oh, no.
Wow, Evil Twin.
And
Even though I don't
so much good stuff.
Yeah.
Even though I don't have them very often, somebody get a message there.
Somebody get it.
Is that coming to you, Eric?
Oh, it's John Walker. John Walker, we're live.
No,
Welcome,
one's
John,
like
to the group. Go ahead.
I don't have Evil Twin very often, but I will drink it. But this is way, way, way off the mark, and very few beverages that not only A makes me sick and B make me drink poor. It throws me on that list. It really does.
Number 2.
Number 2 is Ice House.
Oh, God. Oh, you logger.
Just regular Ice House or Ice House Edge or
Which one?
Straight
Which
Ice House.
just straight ice?
Straight Ice House. Okay.
You haven't had the edge, I bet.
Now I've had the edge and it's disgusting, but it's
Hi, Jonathan.
Yo.
no, it's one of those ones where it's if you're gonna pay 99 cents, at least show up, you know?
Yeah.
It's not asking a whole hell of a lot, is it?
All right.
I mean, it is 99 cents.
I could finish off my list.
All right. We'll wait for number 1. Come on, give us your. So John Walker, we're doing Mount Rushmore, top 4 worst beers you ever had. Think about that. We'll get to you in a second. Tyler,
All right.
finish your crazy list.
I had Stouts.
Oh.
I had the next one is Red Dog.
Oh, what?
Now the next one is Boxer.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah, I bet.
So we got Stroh's, Red Dog, Boxer.
And number 1, worst beer Tyler's ever had.
And then now, I don't know if I feel too confident about this one, but Steel Reserve 211.
Oh.
That was all out of order, but yeah.
I didn't get my number 1 yet. Wow.
All right. We're dying to hear this. Come on, man. What you got? Number 1, worst beer.
Number 1, and you guys, a lot of you guys already noticed, is Rockdale Light.
Whoa.
Pretty
Beer
bad.
from Walmart.
Yeah, it's the only beer I've ever had. I try to give away to the local drunks, and they gave it back. That's never a good sign.
Yeah, Michael Komarov would probably not like that beer.
It's not up my alley.
No. Well, we got John Walker in the building. We got to know. We were talking about stouts and porters. Now we're talking about your worst 4 beers of all time.
One of the worst beers I've ever had was the Shoot Blackbutt Porter.
Really?
Really?
I don't know. I don't know how it went. Me and my friend, we were at they had an open tap takeover by Deschutes, and I don't know if the keg was bad or something, but it tasted like freaking terrible.
Mm-mm.
So I haven't tried it again, but I don't know if it was just that beer, but I thought it was disgusting. That Rockdale crap was pretty bad. There was a beer I had from Trader Joe's. I think it was Name Tag. It was awful.
That one was already named 4 worst beers already. Yeah.
Some things should stay in the bargain bin.
20 cents a single beer. Yeah.
I thought Steel Reserve 211 was bad. I mean, I've had so many worse beers than that. That Miller Fortune was pretty bad.
Yeah, that
No,
was
Fortune.
Fortune was
Fortune.
bad.
I'd be careful because, like, I've had Fortune. As long as it's fresh, I mean, like fresh, you're okay.
No, it was bad.
Don't want that age, right? Okay.
I had a fresh. I was at one of their premiere parties when they released it, and it was bad.
Okay.
Golden anniversary from Koch Brewery. Worst beer I ever had, says Bart Robinson. Live on the channel. All right.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I love supporting local craft beer, but Like if you can probably go to a local craft brewery, and you can probably try one of their new beers, and it's probably one of the worst beers you'll ever have. Like some of the stuff they put out is awful.
I agree. Totally
I'm not
agree.
gonna name the
I
brewery
don't know.
because it may or may not be one of my products, but it was pretty bad. I didn't even finish the glass.
Reviewing Under Influence, our buddy Jordan says he is just tuning in. He's having Blood Brothers Guilty Remnant, a white chocolate golden stout with fresh raspberries, vanilla, and coffee. Cheers to you in Alberta.
Good.
That just sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So, Eric, have you tried the gingerbread stout yet?
No. Hopefully, I'm going to try to review. You want me to try the gingerbread first or this Christmas morning beer?
Do
Which would be the good one?
and then Christmas morning.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hopefully try to do that at some point.
Do them on
Saturday.
separate night. Do them on
Is that the
separate
one
night.
from was it Golden
Yeah, so-
Road or whatever?
And
Yeah.
Right
so
now-
for those that don't know, and I'm gonna send you a check for that money. I got your address. So there you go. So yeah,
yeah,
he was gracious enough here.
Wallet.
Our man here, Tyler, no, John Walker was gracious enough to send me 2 bomber bottles of Hardywood stouts. One is the Christmas morning, they're 9.2% stout, and the other one is 9.2. It's called their gingerbread stout. So good stouts for hardy New England and East Coast winters for sure.
Here's
Okay.
a bottle of GBS.
That's what one of them looks like. Yep.
This stuff is so popular. It's like cracking the hood around here.
I got the crack of the hood in Massachusetts now. It's not
Yeah,
called crack.
it's they sold 5,000 cases of this stuff in Richmond alone.
Oh,
in one
all
week.
right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty
Nice.
incredible. It's good.
And we'll definitely get to that this weekend. No doubt.
If you want, they're good. They're good to age for a year or two.
Yeah.
So if you want to age one of them and try it next year.
Probably will maybe try the Christmas morning on some age. And as we were talking about and reviewing Under Influence, as he's heard that those are pretty good beers, he is describing to us his Blood Brothers Guilty Remnant, which he said was a white chocolate golden stout with fresh raspberries, vanilla, and coffee. He said it pours like raspberry juice and tastes like a stout. Very strange, but great. So there you go, everybody on that. That's yeah, Jordan is his name, and he likes the crazy beers. Yeah, he came out here to Massachusetts, and he in May he stayed over the night, and then he took the train back to Boston. I live in the town of Mansfield, Massachusetts. The next town over is Foxborough, where Gillette Stadium is, and then came on and he tried a bunch of Trillium and other beers in Boston, and then we went and tailgated at Gillette Stadium, and then we saw Metallica live. So it's a pretty good way to spend the day from Alberta, Canada, coming down here and seeing Metallica.
That's a long train ride.
Yeah, well, he took a well, I should put it this way. He took a plane from Alberta and he came here to Logan. And then you can take the local trains from Boston and get all the way out to my town on the train. So he did that for one day. And he rolls up and it's like 90 degrees or whatever. I'm telling you the story, Jordan. He rolls up out of the train. It's like 90 degrees. He's got this big old leather jacket. Looks like this big old metalhead. I'm like, what? This guy must think it's cold down here. Big up in Canada. Damn. Craft beer and Metallica goes together.
How was that concert?
That was ridiculously good. Yeah, we had about 4 hours of drinking Genesee cream ale and juicy hoppy beers. Before you know it, it's like, oh, we got to stroll into Metallica now. We feel pretty good. All right, that's right.
She probably doesn't want
The next party is raspberry stout.
We'll have to see.
So you've had that. You've had that before. And
It's a rabbi.
pretty good beer.
There's a
There's a lot of
landscape.
feedback in the background.
No, it turns out Joanna doesn't want.
Oh, it's Michael Kormeroff. I'm going to mute you, sir. So we asked the question a little while ago, which is we talked about breweries that have year-round stouts and porters that you really do like. So for the breweries that you've had year-round stouts and porters from, John Walker, what would be one that you thought was pretty good?
Guinness.
There you go. All right.
I like Guinness. Good.
Because it can be sometimes hard to find a really good year-round stout
good.
porter.
Left-hand milk stout. That one's always solid.
Yeah.
It's one of my beers of choice.
Sure. Have you brewed stouts or porters before there, Lance the Lush?
No, actually, no. But as on the table for this year.
What kind of?
So what's coming? So stay tuned.
What would be? What kind of stout or porter would that be?
Okay, what are
you thinking?
Like I said, here's the plan. Far stuff like that. The first one was a Baltic porter.
Yeah.
But I'm using white chocolate versus regular chocolate. So stay tuned for that.
All right. Yeah, that would be cool to everybody have a sample of some Lance beer and do a live examination of Lance beer.
No, that's coming. Don't worry about that. Like, now, far as stouts, I haven't got that far yet. That's going to be summertime.
Oh, a stout in the summer?
Yes, because it's the way I'm going to build it. So stay tuned far as that also.
Going to be a dry stout. Stay tuned for that, huh?
It'll be extra dry. Where you have to drink it like very cold in the summertime. It was like 100 degrees outside. So stay tuned.
All right. All right. Hope to see your beers on the shelves one day, right?
Yeah, I wish, but it's like, no, I do for you guys, you know? It's like, and I always said it before, it's like, excuse me, if I'm going to make a beer, I want to send it out and see where I stand. If it's good as good, if it's bad as bad.
You would like the feedback a little bit.
Oh yeah, I wanted a public forum so everybody sees it.
Yeah,
so I wanted to make myself better.
We could do that. Why the hell not?
Yeah, if you're gonna hammer me, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the panel, including yourself here, is pretty non-judgmental, and by that I mean we're pretty. I should say we will judge the product fairly. If it's not so good, I think we'll find the way to let you know that. And what we would, I mean, I guess it's kind of hard because I've never brewed beer myself, so maybe it's kind of hard to taste a beer and to kind of say, well, here's what I wish was in the beer. It might be hard for you to translate what I'm saying into an actual, into actual changes in the beer.
No, that's what I want.
That's what you want.
It's like, let's say I totally bombed the beer, right?
Yeah.
This is for everybody here in the panel right now. Let's say like I totally bomb. I want you to tell me in video or text, whatever,
you suck.
How to make it better.
No, we'll not tell you suck, but yeah, we'll tell you. We'll be honest with you.
Yeah, tell me how to make it better.
Sure.
That one, I want to be the better brewer, you know?
And
that's
I've had one.
Was that Tyler?
But yeah.
You broke up, man. Speak again. All right.
Getting back to the stouts for a moment.
Go do that, yeah.
I got a factoid on this one. The Guinness Draft Stout has the same ABV as a Bud Light.
Really?
Yeah.
4.2. And
actually, you think if an average Bud Light, if you poured one of these, a dark beer, what do you think their reaction would be? The average Bud Light drink, would they attempt to drink a Guinness Draft Stout?
I think most.
Oh, no.
I think most Guinness drinkers, their assumption, their mindset, because we've probably all seen it before, is that they assume that, oh, Guinness, that's like a meal in a glass, right?
Well, yeah, the darkness would be a turnoff. Is that what you're saying?
For only 12 ounces of that beer, I think it's like 125 calories.
And it's not much, and that's not much more than a Bud. I think a Bud Light is 110.
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, it's minimal calorie difference.
I think it's just as drinkable as a Bud Light. Now
I do too. I think it's rather watery. It's light. So, but I just can't see a Bud Light drinker cross shopping a Guinness draft.
No,
no, they don't even. No, like people like those, they don't even consider a Guinness.
But it's interesting that they are that similar as far as the tail of the tape goes, the statistics of it.
Well, it's the misconceptions of the beer itself as far as the consumers.
I would think so. I think a lot of people have just misconceptions that, it's nice that there are people like, not like we speak the word of the gospel. I'm not trying to say that, but it's nice that people can sort of have a reference point if they want to try a beer and they might be a little nervous or apprehensive or whatever. They can go to places like this or Untapped or Beer Advocate. Great beer. I don't really care for rate beer all that much. I think they're a little bit more biased on their beer styles that they like.
A little biased.
But that's an understatement.
I think it's helpful for people that haven't tried beers before to kind of get a general consensus. Now, it's really ultimately up to you if you're gonna like a beer style. My taste buds are not gonna do the same thing that yours might. Even though, say, Michael Komaroff left, but even though, say, he's not even at his desk now, but we both like these hoppier, pale ale style New England beers, but that seems to kind of be the trend right now. At one point in the stout beers, the imperial stouts and the barrel aged beers were kind of trends. So I think beer drinkers, I guess, one way to put it is that we seem to go through these fads and trends where we like certain things for a certain amount of time, and then we kind of move on a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But I think everybody should try the Guinness draft just to pop the widget. I mean, it's a great visual show, if nothing else.
I would,
I've got the Sam Adams glass, and it was a beautiful visual show when that.
What would you rate the Guinness draft if you had to give it some kind of a grade or rating? Well, what's your overall consensus, in other words?
I've not drank that many stouts per se, but to me, this is just an average beer with a great reputation and legacy that goes around it. I don't find it that, like I said, it's rather light. The mouthfeel is very light. The flavor is light. There's only a very mild, delicate sweetness to it. You do get that roasted malt, the traditional flavors that you get in a stout, but I think I would much prefer the Guinness Extra Stout.
Sure.
A little more heft, a little more substance to it. That seems to be what I sort of gravitate toward like craft beers. I prefer the IPAs that have a balance of the malt and the bitterness. The 7%, 7.5% beers rather than the sessionable IPAs, which I don't really care for that much. Sure. So it's just my personal preference.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm understandable. Back for $6.99, but I think next time I would probably grab the
foreign
stout and just skip the widget.
Yeah, even the extras, even just their plain old extra stout, it's pretty nice product as well. Yeah. I know that Lance didn't have a stout or porter, but he was drinking a Labatt product. What's your overall consensus on that beer?
It's bad.
It's bad. Stay away from it. All right.
Lance, do you know where that's brewed at?
It is, according to the can, is brewed in.
Labatt Ice. There you go.
Rochester, New York.
Whoa! It is. It's a Genesee product. The only one that's brewed in Canada is the Labatt Blue. When AB InBev, they were forced to divest themselves of Labatt in the United States because of antitrust concerns by the Department of Justice.
Wow.
So North American Beverage, NAB, which is Genesee, i.e., they control the distribution of the Labatt products in the United States. And they brew most of them. The only one that's still brewed in Canada is the flagship Labatt Blue. So similar to like what happened to Corona when AB InBev had to divest itself of them, and Constellations came and swooped it up. Damn. More than gladly to do that, to get that beer.
Yeah.
And that happened too. Sometimes logistics and the legalistic stuff of these beers, it makes it hard to keep track of actually who brews what and who distributes and such. Yeah,
so you're
you need these
saying
score books to keep.
that InBev owns Labatt?
Excuse me.
AB InBev owns Labatt.
They do loan Labatt, but not in the United States. It's controlled by North American breweries.
Yeah. I distribute North America, all North American products, and that's one of them. But I didn't know AB InBev owned Labatt.
They do. It's brewed in Canada.
I knew that.
Well, they don't.
I sell Labatt and Labatt Blue. No Labatt Ice though.
No, they don't necessarily own it. Like a lot of companies, they own the distribution rights.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like Anheuser-Busch doesn't necessarily own Corona, but they own the distribution rights in North America.
No, they don't.
Imports is the one that imports.
In Mexico, there are two versions of Corona brewed. There's the Mexican version for the domestic market. Then Constellation Brands brews the American version. To go to anyone who goes to Mexico is to buy those two beers and compare them.
Wait, what
between the American and the Mexican versions of those.
What ABV is the Mexican version, the original?
Which beer?
The Corona.
What alcohol is the regular Corona?
It's around 5.5%. It's probably on a little bit of the lower scale of the it's an adjunct lager, face it. That's what it is.
Because regular Corona, it's 4.6.
That's okay. I said 4.5. That's 4.6 sounds about right in that middle range. Like PBR is a 4.74, Miller's 4.6, Budweiser's 5. They're all in that 4.5 to 5% range, just above the light beers.
So Corona, So American Corona is 4.6. What's Mexican Corona?
I don't know offhand. I assume probably the recipe is very similar. It's probably about the same.
No, it's got to be in the fives, if I remember correctly. It's got to be in the fives.
I know if you go to the Passion for Your Beer website, they list in Mexico and Canada the ingredients in Corona, and they're both the same.
Yeah, I would say that the ABV would be very similar because,
it doesn't list it in the United States, but in Canada and Mexico, it lists it.
People don't drink Corona for the taste. It's a lifestyle. It's like being at the beach.
Yeah, pretty much. Corona tastes like that, honestly.
On a blind taste test, not many people would pick a Corona, I don't think, if they had anything else.
Modelo's a different story.
Yeah, but they've done such a great marketing job that a lot of guys will grab a rack of Corona without even, without even thinking about it.
The only problem, I mean, yeah, it's a lifestyle thing, but the one problem that seems to be running rampant, and I'm wondering while looking at the website on Beer Advocate here, I don't see it right now, but they used to call there's like two different versions, if you will. There's two different bottled versions that you get in the United States of Corona. There's a Corona Extra, and then there's this Corona Familiar, which for some reason...
No, that's the same stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to talk about, which is that I don't even see Familiar on Beer Advocate right now, but at one point...
It means family size.
Exactly. At one point, they were listing this Corona Familiar at like 6%, which I don't know where they got that information from, because Corona Extra is 4.6%. And just like John Walker said, there's Corona Familiar. It comes in a brown bottle. It's 32 ounces. It's a quart size, and it's the same exact bottle of beer. And if you ever wanted to know what a brown bottled version of Corona tasted like, then you buy Familiar.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You just get more of it. So I don't know where the story came about, which is not even about stouts and porters here. I don't know where the story came about that Corona Familiar was somehow a different product altogether. I don't know who started that.
I don't know. Hey, guys, I got to bounce off here. I got to go work in the morning.
All right.
All right, you guys have a good one, all right? Yes, sir.
Lance, I got a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to be around Saturday for the Labatt Blue examination?
Now, you're doing Labatt's on Saturday, right?
Yeah, your favorite beer, Lance.
All right. What about you, Eric? You going to be around?
I don't know. I will find out and let you know.
I don't know if I'll be in town. I have some stuff to do that Saturday, but like I'll stay in a loop, see what's going on.
We'll let you in and know.
Oh yes, like if I'm around, I'll be the lead guy. That's the plan, all right? I'll be the lead guy on this particular brew.
You're gonna go get that beer. All right, good.
Yeah. All right, guys, you have a good one, all right?
Peace.
All righty.
Peace. I'll let you know. I'll give you the laydown real fast of the beer that I drank earlier in the night for our stout and porter examination. That was in the can, is now in the recycling bin. It is the Pom Pom Milk Stout from Trillium Brewing Company. Yeah, it literally had like an Eric Cartman knit hat with the pom pom on it. Yeah, it was a 6.8% milk stout. It definitely reminded me of Left Hand Milk Stout, and it definitely reminded me of Young's Double Chocolate Stout from Great Britain. But it was definitely a lot darker roasted, and it definitely had much more sweetness to it. Definitely more roasted in general and dark, just darker chocolate. And it just was a richer and fuller mouthfeel. So if that kind of thing, if you like milk stouts, but with more darkly roasted malts in it, I guess that would be the game to go and explore. For some reason, Lance says that Trillium beer, which is made in Boston, Massachusetts, and Canton, Massachusetts, somehow he says he can get it in Ohio where he lives because the guy wheels and deals and beer trades in his local store and you can buy Trillium. So go figure. But I forget what I rated that on my channel, but if I had to rate it now, it would at least get in the A- range. It's pretty much what you want in a milk stout, and it's not hoppy because it's not supposed to be, but Trillium can make a really good dark beer in general. So I guess that kind of concludes our long-winded stout and porter examination this evening. I think Michael Kormaroff just left, so good evening, sir. And anybody have any final thoughts on stouts and porters before we call it a video tonight? All right.
Yeah, I'm not drinking one, so I won't add anything.
He would love to drink an imperial stout. We'll do that with young
Stouts
Campbell.
are the very chested beers of the world.
Yeah.
Dark, more robust, and I mean, if this would be a great one, the classic Guinness draft stout to for someone an entry beer, a gateway beer into this style of beer.
Yeah.
This would be the perfect one to start with, and sort of work your way on up. You know, if you're of a curious nature that you want to try different styles of beer.
Yes, definitely try different styles of beers.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid. Just go pick one up and try it. There's all kinds of beers at all different kinds of price ranges. Go pick up a dark beer and go try it. You'll like it.
And beer should be fun. It should be a fun adventure.
Exactly, yeah.
That's
Just don't drink and drive. That's what we say. So, to conclude every one of my reviews that I do, I say my glass is empty, but cheers, cheers, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for watching a live examination. Next week, I don't have beyond next week. I'll have to come up with some ideas with the beer reviewers here. Next week, we're doing flavored beers. So again, by flavored beers on Wednesday night. So by flavored beers, I mean any additive or added ingredient besides water, hops, yeast, malt, corn, or rice. So if your beer is made with chocolate, if it's got some fruits in it, some other ingredient that's not typically associated with beer, go bring it. Line and Kugel Shandy, I guess go bring it if you want. So till next time, cheers. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Tyler, for sticking around. William Kepley. We had Michael Kormaroff, Lance the Lush, the Beer Whisperer, R.C. Jones. Cheers. We'll see you soon.